Welcome back, mortals, to another episode of the Parallax Podcast.
Yes, and today is episode 2 of the mysterious disappearance of Brian Shaffer. Are we going to stay in the rabbit hole, or are we going to dig ourselves out? Let's find out.
I sometimes like staying in the rabbit hole.
Yes, you know what? But at the same time, as I said this, digging out, do you actually dig out of the... Wouldn't you want to fill the hole up so you can, get to the top and get out? Why would you keep digging? Wouldn't you get deeper in the hole?
Well, okay, so if you are using either your hands or another tool, and you are using it to move dirt around, even if it's so you can move yourself up out of the hole, do you still consider that digging?
Yeah, I guess.
Digging. Or do you would you consider that I'm digging myself out,
landscaping myself out of
here? I'm landscaping myself. That's so bad.
Some of the things we say. All right, for our listeners, we gave you the basics of the Brian Shaffer case. And me, growing up with Brian Shaffer when I was a child, my perspectives from the, knowing the family, knowing the dad, Randy, knowing the mom, Renee, knowing that family up until right before middle school, and then him disappearing. All of that we presented in episode whatever that was, because at this point I don't even know where that episode's coming out.
It's the first one of this two-parter,
yes.
But I don't know what number it actually is.
No, because we got a lot on the docket there. Yeah. So in this episode, we're going to hear what Willow has to think, or I guess has to share. We're going to think about some of her theories, some of her thoughts and questions that she has after I presented all that to her.
So
Miss
much.
Willow.
This has been living rent-free in my brain for the past week. And also this past weekend, when you were doing my hair, it took everything in me not to be like, okay, so let's have a conversation. And I was like, I can't do that. We've got, you want to sit down with the hairstylist and just talk about all the things. Mm-hmm. And this is one thing I couldn't talk about. And, that's kind of rude, by the way. You did that to me.
Well, I mean, if you really wanted to, I could have rescheduled your appointment until after we recorded this.
No. Did you see my roots? That could not be rescheduled. I looked bald. No. Ain't no way.
You're funny.
So, and I told you a little bit about this, kind of the only thing that I mentioned that we really talked about with the case during that appointment. I did listen to other podcasts about the Brian Shaffer case because I wanted to get the outside perspective, so to speak, since I know that you had talked about how it really was so different from what you knew. And I absolutely saw what you were talking about, especially when it came to the relationship between Randy and Brian, because in the things that I listened to, they're talking about how he's going and he's searching for his son and he's doing this and that and the other. But they didn't really say anything at all about his relationship with his dad, the truth of it, that it wasn't really that good of a relationship, that they were, the dinner they were going to was really just to reestablish and try at a relationship. And I was like, oh my gosh, they don't know. They really don't know. And so us talking about it, I think, will be very interesting to a lot of people who follow this case or have been following this case closely, because obviously this perspective is not one that is commonly shared. And they also did, because you had mentioned too that some people were saying that he was going to be proposing to his girlfriend, and they were saying that on those different podcasts. I listened to Crime Junkie, and I think it was Crime Garage. I think
the True Crime Garage.
True Crime Garage, yeah.
I think that one's based in Ohio. I listened to that one.
Yeah, and especially in Crime Junkie, I think it was also in True Crime Garage. They were saying that he was going to be proposing, but then they wouldn't say why they thought that. They wouldn't say he was going to propose. He had asked his dad or his mom, or they found text messages, or his brother.
It wouldn't have been his mom, remember? Yeah, because his mom had passed away before.
But it was they hadn't even said oh, maybe he was talking to her before she passed. Nothing about where this information came from. It was just, he's going to propose. I think it was just people.
Yeah, every time I heard it, it was they thought. Everybody assumed maybe when they were going on this trip, that's what they were doing. Yeah. But no one saw a ring. No one actually said, he told me he was proposing during this trip. You would think if you're close with people, you would tell someone, I'm proposing.
Yes.
And that person would come forward.
Yeah, and even in the Crime Junkie podcast, they were talking because they did bring up the point of people suspecting he was going to propose, because they kind of went into the whole idea of what if he did just run away. And
Mhm.
one of the girls had said, well, wouldn't you think that's something he would tell his dad if he was actually going to propose? And I was in the car listening to this, and I literally said out loud, no, he wouldn't. Like,
Yeah, I
he
don't know
did
if
not
his
like
dad
his
and him were
dad like
that
that.
close. I don't know if his dad and him had the type of relationship where he felt he could tell his dad that he's in love with someone and wants to propose. Because I don't think that Brian thought his dad and his mom had a great relationship to even, I feel, respect his dad enough. But this is me on the outside. I don't want to offend Derek if Derek ever hears this that I'm ever speaking ill of his mother and his father, who have both passed. But I truly loved his mom, Renee. She was a genuinely sweet person. But I told you, I don't care. I was not a fan of Randy's.
Hmm.
So,
And I also will say, to kind of to that point, that childhood trauma of any kind, especially when you were talking to me about what you saw as a child with
mhm,
Randy around his children, around his wife and such, that's going to make a very, very lasting impression on
mhm,
somebody. That kind of trauma is incredibly difficult, even as an adult, to process, to work through, and to understand. And he was a young adult. I mean, he's early 20s. Do not think that I don't think it's very likely, realistically, that he did have that incredibly close relationship with his dad, even at that point. Even if he had like started therapy or what have you to maybe work through some of that, I doubt that he was at the point where he could confide in his dad in the same way that he probably would confide in his mother.
mhm.
So I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't tell his dad, because he
Yeah,
just probably, there's a possibility that he's just setting a boundary there. Like, hey, if you're going to take part in this chapter of my life, it's going to be on my terms. And you're
right.
going to take part however much I want you to, compared to you just taking part because like you're just already,
Mm,
that part of my life there. But yeah, that was just something that I thought was interesting, because you had told me that what you had heard didn't really sound like what you had grown up seeing.
mhm,
And then going and listening to those podcasts, I was like, no, this is actually true. A lot of these people who are following this case, they don't actually realize the truth of the relationship there. And I think that is very important to this case. I
mhm.
definitely, I want to sit here today and kind of feel out all the different theories and such, and some of the different details. But I honestly, I think it's insane that we have no idea where he's at. But
Mhm,
I do think that I am more apt to believe that he did run away. He found some way to disappear on his own
mhm.
accord by his own choice. I do think that is probably a little bit more likely than something nefarious happening, but at the same time, I would not ever rule out the possibility that something
Foul
nefarious
play.
happened.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would never rule that out, but I
Well,
think
no, yeah, but even
you
when you
know,
have cops that were on the case that stated they still look for him when they're in large crowds, well, if you thought that all the evidence pointed to someone did not make it out alive, you'd be like, "This guy didn't make it out." So in the back of your mind, you'd be like, why would I be looking for this person?" The
yeah.
case is so strange that you're just like, "Well, maybe he's out there somewhere." You would constantly be looking.
Well, and I mean, of course, everybody, either way, even if there was foul play, everybody is going to want to believe that he's still out there, that he's fine. You don't want to believe the worst until you actually see it. You actually like
Mhm,
have proof that the worst happened. Even still, though, I mean, of course, they didn't report him missing and go looking for him as soon as they should have. So there is a significant amount of evidence there that's just gone, that
mhm,
would probably more definitively point in one direction or the other.
mhm,
But I feel like it's wild, because it is so difficult for someone to have pulled this off and nobody ever know, but it's also so difficult for Brian to have pulled this off and nobody ever know. Which is why I also thought too, we talked a little bit about this during the episode. I would not be surprised whatsoever if he pulled this off, because there is somebody or a few people out there who do know what
mm.
happened, and they've like been sworn to secrecy. Like his friend, what's it, Clint, right?
Clint,
Was his
yeah.
name, but it's different now. So,
I think
first of
it's his
all,
name, I think, but I think he might be going by either his first name, like his actual government name, that most
Mhm.
people didn't know, or like, and he was using a
Mhm.
nickname, or vice versa, like he's going by a nickname and then he's not using it. One or the other. I can't remember.
I mean, first of all, that is suspicious in both ways. It's suspicious if there was foul play, but it's also suspicious in if Brian Shaffer disappeared by his own choosing, because Clint could have actually helped him
Mm-hmm.
and is no longer going by his name, so he can just distance himself from the case, either because he knows something, or there is obviously the argument of he's just getting so much attention that he doesn't want. He doesn't want to revisit that part of his life, and that's why he had changed his name to something different. But I also am like, okay, maybe he changed his name because he was sworn to secrecy. Maybe he did help Brian disappear. Maybe he did something bad. I believe more so that maybe he just helped Brian disappear
I
and
feel
he
like
just doesn't want
I
the pressure
agree.
anymore.
I feel like I agree. There is something Clint knows that he does not want to share. Hired a lawyer and would not take a, which again, wouldn't take a polygraph test, whether it's
Mhm.
admissible or not. If you're not willing to take a lie detector test, what are you
You
hiding?
probably have something to hide. Yeah. And again, I said it before and I'll say it again. Anybody gets arrested. Anybody, even if you don't get arrested and police are just coming to you and saying, hey, you know somebody who is in this crime and we want to talk to you, speak to a lawyer. The amount of cases that I have listened to on true crime where somebody has nothing to do with it, but because they don't have a lawyer to help them and the police have tunnel vision and they just decide that they don't like you, now you're in a real rough space. Like, I literally listened to a podcast about a crime where this guy was thrown in jail and quite literally about 2 seconds away from being convicted for a murder that he had absolutely nothing to do with, because police had tunnel vision and he looked just enough like the guy who actually did it that they were like, he did it. And the only reason that he was exonerated, or actually, I don't think they actually ended up going to trial for him, was because the lawyer that he hired was able to find in the video footage of a TV show that just so happened to be filmed while this guy was at a baseball game. He watched like hours and hours of footage and found one spot, like a few seconds and one part of the footage where he saw this guy walking back to his seat and sitting down, which proved that he was not there at the time of the murder they were trying to convict him of. So, long story short, talk to a lawyer. Always talk to a lawyer. Always do it. So I will give that to Clint. I will devil's advocate for him on that one. Do I find
But
it
he
slightly?
stopped cooperating after that point.
Yeah, and that's why I say, do I find it a little bit suspicious? I do. I do. I can't lie. I do. But I will also devil's advocate for him because, yes, you should have a lawyer anyway. Now, taking the polygraph, I'd kind of be like, yo, bro, you have a lawyer. You can take the polygraph. Like, if you have nothing to
Yes.
hide.
If
But
you
I
have
think
nothing to hide, why? Like, yeah, that's fine. My lawyer's here. I'll take it.
But then what if he's worried about the fact that he does know something, even if it's not something bad, even if it's just, I helped, he asked me to help him. He wanted to escape. He wanted to have a new life. And so I helped him, which honestly, it isn't a bad thing to do. It's not the right thing to do, but it's not necessarily bad either. He's trying to kind of offer this solace as escape for his friend, which could
You're
be
saying
seen
it's
as a
not
very caring
it's
thing
not
to
the right
do.
thing for Clint to do?
It's not the right thing kind of for either of them to do, but it's
Why?
not wrong either. So I say that in the sense of there are people around Brian who have suffered because they don't know where he's at. They don't
Mhm.
know where he's gone.
Mhm.
And if he is still alive, I don't think it is the best choice to just disappear and now cause all this suffering for these people who do actually care about you and then just let them continue to suffer. But at the same time, I'm not saying it's 100% wrong either, because he needs an escape. And if he's going through such a rough time, I feel like that puts you in an extremely like ethically or morally gray spot where it's not the best choice, but you also can't sit there and fault him for it and say that he's entirely wrong, because he needs an escape. He's not in a good mental state.
Mhm.
He needs to, for his own health, he needs an escape. And then for Clint, that's also why I say it's not really the best choice, but it's not the worst choice, because him choosing to help Brian in that situation, if Brian truly was like, I need an escape, I need to get out of here, it would probably have been a better choice to try and talk him out of it and get him the help that he really needed professionally, so that this situation wouldn't happen. But at the same time, helping him to have that escape can also be seen as an act of like the ultimate love for your friend, or for somebody who you may see as a family member, as a brother.
Yeah, keeping a promise. I mean, heck, as a stylist, there's things I'll take to my grave. Unless you precursor like telling me something with, hey, say nothing to anyone, I might share it. But if you tell me, don't tell anyone, I'll probably retain it and be like, okay, I'm not telling anyone.
I always tell people that if you don't trust my husband with the information, then don't tell me.
Oh, yeah, I guess that's true too, because I will tell my husband.
I'm like, if you're going to tell me something and you don't feel like you can trust my husband with the information, then you probably shouldn't tell it to me, because he will know.
Yeah. No, that's different. I feel like because we're one, so I have to tell him so he knows what I know.
He always knows. The amount of times he
know
and
what
I
I know.
sit and we're like, do you want to know the tea that I found out at work? And like, we don't know these people. Like,
No.
I don't know his coworkers extremely well. He doesn't know my coworkers extremely well. Like, he knows them in passing when he goes to events. Just like, hey, and that is it. And he's like, yeah, I want to know the tea. I'm like, you don't even know these people. You don't even know the names I'm saying, but you still want to hear the tea.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, so since you've listened to a lot of the podcasts, like a couple of the, perspectives, what are some of the things, questions, theories, other thoughts that you wanted to add or project onto this case?
I just like completely lost my train of thought. I like pulled a cat hair out of my eyeball and I completely forgot where I was going with that. Okay, I remembered. All right, we're back. We're okay. The cat hair did not take all my thoughts. So I want to go over a few of the details again. So if I remember correctly, the Ugly Tuna Saloona, I can't get over that name. Brian was not a regular there, right? Like, this wasn't a place.
This is a new place. So no, but he had been there earlier in the evening.
Okay.
Which one person could say he scoped it out.
I was about to say, which makes me think which honestly makes me think even more that he had somebody help him to leave in some way. Now, would that be, do we know if Clint had been there a whole lot? Like, if he was like, oh, let's go to this place that I know, or was it me for
so
both
based
of
on
them?
what information I had, this was like I think one of their first times really there, because this was a fairly new place. This was not this was a developmental area. The Ugly Tuna Saloona was newer. They had a few regulars, but Brian and Clint were not regulars. As far as like whether they'd been there previously, that I do not know, other than what was stated, that they were not familiar with that location enough to know that there was a fight, how the fire exit works. That would directly, or I should say indirectly, state that he had not been there before, because they were talking about people who would know that the fire escape, when you push it, that it would be okay. It would be okay to go out and not make as much noise, like make the little fire noise or whatever. But you would only know that if you were a regular, and he was not regular.
So, like, what are the chances that he decided maybe he was wanting to run away, and this was a just sudden, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it tonight. He's been drinking, he's been out, he's in his fields, and he's like, I'm going to do it tonight. What are the odds that by sheer dumb luck, Clint was like, yeah, okay, let's do it. And they somehow found a way to get him out of there and let him escape, and it wasn't caught anywhere.
Yeah,
I guess
I've never thought about Clint being involved with it as a helping hand.
Well, because I was thinking when he was saying, oh, I don't want to take a polygraph, it could literally just be because he does know, even if it's not bad, he does know what happened. He does know that Brian wanted to escape, but it's not bad. He didn't hurt him. He just knew that he wanted to escape. But to police, if it shows that you lie, they're immediately going to think you hurt him. Like, because that's more so what they're investigating is there a chance that this was foul play, or is he just escaping? So if Clint was sworn to secrecy for Brian, if he's like, no, I'm taking this to my grave, I'm not going to tell anyone, I'm going to let you go live your life how you want to. But he goes and takes his polygraph, but he refuses to then say what he actually knows, that is going to look suspicious, and people are going to find a way to find evidence against him saying that he did something. Yeah. So that could be why he is refusing to take that polygraph, and why he's getting a lawyer, because he's like, I do know, even though it's not bad, I do know, but I've been told not to say anything. I'm going to honor that. I'm not going to say anything. But then I also think, okay, if something bad did happen, there was more than enough time for that evidence to be cleaned up.
Yeah, I don't even know. I would love to get a hold of the case file per se, and maybe do an episode down the road where we can revisit this, but look at the actual details.
Mhm.
Did Clit go back the next night to the bar and clean up a mess that he caused?
I mean, that's
Did,
entirely
there's a
possible.
whole night of the bar being open that no one talks about, like that there were more people in there. No one talks about the fact that if Brian went missing because of something, foul play wise, was a body stashed there and then taken out the next night? Did they review the video of the next night? Also, if there was something where Brian's like, hey, I'm going to go, people are known to sneak into places like Walmart. I mean,
Oh,
supposedly it's a
yeah.
very small bar, but was there a place he could hide enough that, which I mean, he's a 6'2" man. Is there a place that he can hide? They wouldn't see him the next day or anything like that.
I mean, it was a construction zone. Well, it was a construction zone. It wasn't
Yeah, but where would
like
he
insane.
hide?
Yeah, no, that's
And
true.
supposedly they were searching the area around there the next day and the day after. Supposedly.
Okay, is he a little beanpole like
No. I mean,
tall man, or
tall,
is he
slender, but
like
muscular physique type thing, but
okay,
not like
okay, yeah. He's not like
not
skinny
scrawny.
type. Yeah, okay,
No.
okay. Because I was gonna say, I was like, if he's like a beanpole, I mean, he could probably find somewhere to stash himself. But if not, then yeah, no, he probably wouldn't have somewhere to easily. Well, okay, but so you say that they supposedly went back and looked. Was this just like Clint and his friends, or his girlfriend and his friends, or was this
So
police
I don't
that
know if
went
this
back
was
days
Saturday
later?
or I don't know if this was Saturday or Sunday. But when Brian didn't respond, of course, and you have talked and I talked about this, that it could be the hangover thing, like you're hungover and he's not responding. But then when she went to his apartment, when they went to his apartment, everything looked like it was perfectly in normal space. But when people say that, how do you know? So, I mean, I know when my stuff's out of place. I could not tell you if somebody else's stuff was out of place.
Yeah. And how do you know, just looking at his apartment, that, well, he looks like he was planning on coming back?
Yeah.
Because he could have packed a bag and you wouldn't even know, because you don't know what's missing. Like,
I feel like Brian was smart enough to do it without being noticed. He was not stupid. I feel like that wouldn't be, if he was planning on leaving, I feel he would have been the type to fake his drunkenness and then everybody just kind of negate him as, not being capable of running off, and then him actually running off.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I mean, I even was sitting there thinking about if I didn't know that my husband was gone, like on a trip or what have you, I wouldn't know, besides the fact that he's got like this toiletry bag that he always takes with him. But if he didn't have that toiletry bag, I live with this man. I've been married to him for 4.5 years. And I still don't even know all the clothes and shoes that he would take with him. Because he's got so many. So like, if he didn't, the only thing that lets me know, oh, he's gone, obviously his car is gone. But other than that would be his toiletry bag. If the toiletry bag was gone, I'd be like, oh yeah, it means my husband's gone. But how many other people know that?
Know
like
what
if
other
I
people
wasn't
have
the
missing.
one, yeah, if I wasn't the one who went to look, like if I was, if I put myself in this situation and I'm up, let's say I'm up in somewhere up north and I'm visiting with my family. And my husband is supposed to meet me there after he's done doing something for work. And I'm sitting there like, gosh, my husband hasn't answered my phone in an hour, because this man would always answer my phone. But I'm like, man, he's not answering me. And then I text or call somebody in the area, say, hey, have you been able to talk to my husband? Can you go see if he's okay? And they came here and my house looks exactly as it does right now, and the toiletry bag is missing. They wouldn't know. They literally wouldn't know, because I'm like, besides myself and maybe his brothers, we're like the only ones who know that that's what he takes.
Mm-hmm.
And so they'd just be like, I don't know, it looks fine. I don't know if he's, they wouldn't be able to sit
that's
there
like
and say,
when you
well, he
listen
looks
to
like he's going to come home.
when you listen to true crime and you hear them say it doesn't look like anything's been taken, I always wonder, how y'all know?
How do you know?
How do you know? Like, I probably don't even know that I'm missing a pair of earrings until I go to wear those earrings. Like, where did they go? Or a pair of pants. Like, what happened to those pants? I don't know what happened to those pants. I mean, until you're actually going to go, you mentally don't inventory everything. It's like the 7 dwarfs. You're going to forget something that you thought you saw that is missing.
Yeah. And plus, if he's deciding that he wants to leave and start over, as a new life, he's probably not going to really take much with him anyway from his old life. He's not going to sit there and pack a huge suitcase. He's probably just going to bring a few essentials to take with him till he gets to his destination. Then he's just going to get all new stuff because he's probably thinking like, if I want an escape, I need to escape. I don't want to be reminded of what I'm leaving behind.
Okay, so tell me, okay, I want you to talk to me about when you were listening to these podcasts. What were some of the thoughts that popped in your head?
The first thing that I thought about after having listened to them, like at the end, was, wow, people really have no idea what happened to this guy.
Yeah,
Because there are some podcasts of unsolved mysteries or unsolved cases, what have you, that I'll listen to, and you can kind of tell from how they're talking what the person is suspecting. If they're suspecting something paranormal, if they're suspecting a certain suspect, like I can usually tell what they're thinking. But when I was listening to these podcasts, it was pretty clear to me that they had no idea, because I think there is, with what little evidence we have, which is not saying much, but with what little evidence we have, you could really use it to swing either way on this one. Is, again, the fact that there was so much time between that night when he disappeared and when they actually got police involved to go and do an investigation. Even if there's people, like a few people kind of looking around to kind of see, hey, is Brian over here? Did he fall in a ditch somewhere? Like, that is still more than enough time for somebody to clear away or move a body. But it's also more than enough time for Brian himself to make his way out of there.
So that's another thing. Whenever they were talking about him making his way out of there, they talked to the band, and the guy, when you were listening to True Crime Garage, I think in one of their updated versions, they talked to one of the band members. I think he might have been the guitarist, or maybe he was, I don't know, the bass guitarist, maybe even. And Brian played guitar. So when Brian told Clint and Meredith that he was going to go talk to the band, of course they're not going to remember who all goes and talk to them. They're the band. It's the whole idea of the one in the multitude. So it's like, everybody remembers me, but I don't remember them. Yeah. But what if when he said he was going to go talk to the band, he technically did go talk to the band, but like he left before the band was even cleaned up and went out that exit. So when the band's leaving, no, it just seems weird because like...
Yeah. And I can even sit there and say maybe he went and talked to the band and maybe somebody, waved him down for whatever reason. And that person ended up being the one who killed him. If that even happened. I mean,
or like, so this balcony thing, like supposedly this or not balcony, this fire exit thing where there is no camera. Is there enough space out there he could have hid 24 hours and nobody would have checked on him? And then when he woke up, he's like, I'm leaving.
He could have done that. He could have even just on a whim been like, I'm going to leave out this, whether he ends up meeting somebody who knows about that and just tells him because they're all drunk. There's like, oh yeah, I went out that fire exit one time, like whether he found somebody who told him or he somehow found a way.
Saw someone do that? Yeah. Maybe.
Saw someone do that, found out. I mean, he could have even just gone out there and just been like, all right, bye, see ya, and just kept on going because they didn't start looking for him until the next day. That is a significant amount of time between the actually he's gone and maybe I should go check and see if he's alive or if he's like in a ditch somewhere.
Yeah, hours after it. And that's
there
just
is still enough time.
And his dad, out there searching. Police didn't even get involved for a whole 2 days.
Yeah. That is more than enough time for either him to then leave, or if he had gone out that fire exit and left then, it's more than enough time for him to get far enough away. They're not going to find him. But it's also more than enough time for someone to, for example, kill him, put his body down the fire exit because they know how to do it and make the alarm not sound, and then move it and hide the body and clean up. It is more than enough time for them to do this.
Yeah. Well, and so, like, who cleaned up that night at the bar? Like, was that same person? And I mentioned this before. Was that same person working the next night? Where it's like, no, I'll take a shift.
Yeah, I mean, there are psychopaths out there that are so good at blending in, and you have no idea how dangerous they are. So, that is again why I say I would also fully believe if somebody killed him. And they just happened to be able to get away with it because nobody went and looked for anything until later. There was not enough evidence left behind to know if there was foul play or if he had
Mm-hmm.
just run off. I mean, there's entire cases that had like significant evidence left behind that are still unsolved because they just couldn't tie it to anybody for one reason or another, or police did a shoddy job at actually doing the investigation, which I
Mm-hmm.
don't think is the case here. I don't think so, but just
Well, no,
as
because
an
they were given a
example.
late start. That's not on their fault.
Yeah.
I mean, they were given a
No,
late start.
no. There wasn't even, and again, because they didn't come into investigating until like 2 days later, right?
Right. So he went missing
So,
technically at like, so he was there Friday, but it was the waking hours, the witching
mhm.
hours of Saturday morning.
Yeah.
So
And
there was all
so,
of Saturday, all of Sunday, and not till after he missed his flight on Monday did they decide to go to the cop.
yeah, so that is an entire 2 nights of not only people being there and messing up whatever evidence there is, but of them cleaning. So if somebody already went back and did their job cleaning, and then they're cleaning over top of that, the way that they normally do with whatever chemicals they use, whatever evidence there is, either of him leaving or him being hurt in some way, is gone. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
It just is. Plus, if they go and bury, I know this is kind of gross, but if something did happen to him and they went and buried the body or took it somewhere, that is also enough time for scavengers to pick apart
Mm-hmm.
what's left over,
Mm-hmm.
depending on where they took him. If that is what happened, it's enough time for them to figure out what to do. They
Mm-hmm.
could have burned him and like just threw the ashes anywhere so you can't find him.
Well, yeah, it's
I
like,
mean,
did you look
there's
at
so
did
many things.
anybody that works there, everybody that was there, does anybody have a side job in the crematorium? Like, who had access to that? Like,
I mean,
I mean,
there's so many different there's so many different things that they could have done. There's even, he's by a medical school. There's so many different things that
oh,
somebody
it's a
could have
high-state
done.
university,
Yeah,
so
there's so
it's a
many different ways
huge
that somebody
campus.
could have disposed of his body if they wanted to, and they had time. And
Mm-hmm.
especially if it was somebody who knew what they were doing for one reason or another. Whether
Yeah.
it's they know what they're doing because they have some kind of medical knowledge and they know how to get this disposed of, or it's somebody who knows what they're doing because it is not the first time that they've done something like this.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's why it's just such a wild case to me, because there's so little known, but what is known, it doesn't point me one way or another. And I
Well,
just thought that's I think the craziest thing about this is I just sit there and I'm like trying to find enough evidence from what I've heard to get myself to say, okay, no, I really do believe in XYZ theory versus this other theory. And I can't do that because I'm like, they're both probable. I think it really all boils down to the fact that they did not start truly investigating this fast enough. Because I think if they had been able to get over there a lot faster, they might have found something, like some item, some blood spatter, I don't know, something that would have actually ended up pointing to, okay, yes, he did run away, or something foul play happened here.
right.
And that's why we can't find him.
Oh, yeah. No, absolutely. So I was trying to look this up, and around this time, I think it might have been 2005. Let me look this up, but I'm pretty sure there were a series of male college students going missing.
Okay, there you go. It could have been somebody who knew what they were doing because it wasn't the first time that they'd done this.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think about the Fox Hollow murders that we're definitely going to cover at some point because, wow, a whole lot of new things are happening here in 2025 with that case. But I think about the Fox Hollow murders that happened back in the 70s and 80s. Now, their situation is definitely very much different from this one, but these gay men or LGBTQ men were going missing, and they had no idea what had happened to these people. And we're only just now in 2025 actually getting some real answers of what happened to these people. They were able to find the bodies years later, but I sit there and I think about something like that happening and them just having no idea what happened to them because there just wasn't any evidence until years later of what happened to these men.
Right. Well, so like, you know how whenever they capture a serial killer, if someone did kill him. So like, okay, a 20-year-old part-time high state university student disappeared August 11th, 2005 from OSU. Okay, same college. From the Leto's Lounge in Columbus, Ohio. Well, initially considered a missing person. This person was actually murdered. So this was a female student. But like there's always people who prey around areas of stuff like this when thinking college students are not paying attention and stuff like
Yeah.
that. But we'll have to look up like some of the ones that are similar, because sometimes like if an area gets too hot for a serial killer, they move on.
Yeah.
And I know in the late 90s, early 2000s, there were cases of college students who were missing, both male and female, from campuses and stuff. And I remember there was one where they were being stabbed, both males and females. So we'll have to maybe look at that, because serial killers are not going to always know their victims' names if their victim forgot their ID or dropped their ID somewhere or whatever. So they're not.
Well, I mean, they don't care. Like, they're not asking, "Oh, what's your name?" right before they kill him. Like, they just start deciding.
I think they do want to know who they, kind of like almost like a memento. Like, oh yes, that when they see it on the news, that was my person.
Well, I wonder if, because some of them will keep trophies. They'll cut off some part of something or take clothes or jewelry or something, some kind of memento, some kind of trophy. But I wonder for some of them if it's just, I know what that person looks like, and if I see their face on the news,
I mean, and
then that's enough for me. And of course, they're not going to say anything. They're not going to be like, "Oh yeah, I got that one." Like, like they're not going to be turning themselves in, especially if the police have nothing to go on anyway to catch them for it. They're not going to be turning themselves in. But that's why I also think too, if foul play did happen, this was somebody who was experienced. This was not someone who, like a crime of passion, like somebody who's drunk and just accidentally kills him. This was somebody who I feel probably hunted him. Like, even if it was just in that night,
they just were throughout the bar.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying is they either hunted him that night and just picked out, okay, that's my next target, and that's the person I want to go after, and they knew what they were doing. This was not the first time that they had done this. I absolutely don't believe that this was an accident, whether he is alive or he has passed. It wasn't an accident. He either planned to leave or somebody planned to hurt him. Because although I did say, what are the odds that it was sheer dumb luck that his friend was maybe able to get him out of there and escape? I know those odds are very, 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 very slim. So I don't really think that's what happened. I think this was probably well planned either way. But
even if it was an accidental death, like, why would someone
There'd be something. I just think if it was an accidental death, there'd be something.
Yeah, you would think.
Because this is just too clean. To have nothing on. And he's 6'2". If it was an accidental death, I'd be thinking he'd be trying to fight back. If someone, got into a bar fight.
He actually was too drunk to do that.
I mean, that's true. Or somebody could have spiked his drink. Offer him to have another drink. He's too far gone already. Spike his drink. And they either take him out or kill him that way, because he can't fight back at that point. They can do whatever which would have to be either multiple people or a very strong person if he's 6'2".
Yes. Yeah. I mean, that'd be like me trying to take my husband down.
Ain't no way. All the love to you, but ain't no way. I know.
Well, it sounds like we're stuck in the hole.
Yes, because I don't know. I went over this so many times because I was like, okay, if I'm going to sit down here and talk with her about it, I have to like bring something to the table. But I don't know. There's not enough extra for me to pick a side and say, okay, he definitely ran away, or there's definitely foul play. And so then I was like, I'm about to sit with her and just like rehash everything that happened, because I cannot pick what I think actually happened, and anything I say to be like, this piece of evidence is why I think XYZ happened, can also be used to say why ABC happened. Like, they can be used both ways. I do think that like you said, the officers who sit there and say, well, I still look for him in crowds, I do think that means a lot. I do think that is what makes me lean a little bit more towards that he had found some way somehow to run away, because
there's something in the case file that we don't know that's not public.
Yeah, oh, absolutely, because then they'll sit there, if they can find him, or if they think that they found him, somebody calls in a tip and says, hey, I think I saw him.
It did happen. There was a picture. I'll send it to you. There was a picture of Brian. Oh my gosh, I can't remember what foreign country.
Well, because then they'll sit there and they'll use the details in that case file. And if the person who they're trying to see if it is him or not, that's one of the ways they can find out. Obviously, there's DNA now, but, them
Mhm.
sitting down with this person, interviewing them, if they're able to talk about details that haven't been released, then they'll know, okay, this for sure is Brian Shaffer. He's able to tell us about these details that only he would know if he had truly disappeared, or vice versa, if somebody had killed him.
Mhm.
Obviously, if they interview a person who they suspect to be the killer, they're going to know things that only the killer knows that
Right.
have not been released to the public.
Something that, oh gosh, now that just slipped my mind. Something I was thinking about. Oh, here, I'm going to send this picture to you.
Did you pull a cat hair out of your eyeball like I did and forget what you were going to
Right?
say?
Someone thought they saw him on the side of the street.
And then send me a picture that's actually of him so I can compare.
Yes, here's the picture of him.
Because I did not grow up with him, so I do not know.
Right. And then side by side. So I'm sending you a picture of him back then. And then
So
I'm
this is just
sending
somebody
you...
like in a foreign country, like a guy they just
Mhm.
saw.
And then this is the aged photo, like where they think maybe this is what he looks like aged.
Okay. That's kind of wild because,
I guess it was kind of, I mean, they like maybe said it wasn't him, but
yeah, but it kind of looks like, I mean, it's just a picture, but it
yeah,
kind of looks like he's got the same nose.
Tijuana.
He's got the same nose.
Mm-hmm.
Is the first thing. That's the very first thing I noticed was he's got the same nose as Brian. So the picture, I mean, we're going to post this. We're going to post these on the Instagram page. So you guys can take a look at it yourselves. But me personally looking at this, it's a picture of a person that I guess they believed could possibly be Brian Shaffer.
Well,
He's
but
laying...
see, like it took them a while, but I think they debunked
Yeah.
the picture.
They did end up debunking it.
Yeah.
It's still like, I mean, it's compelling. Like, it is a compelling picture. He's laying on the ground. He kind of looks like a hobo, or like he kind of looks like he's just like a street person.
Mhm.
He's got a beard and his hair is disheveled, but I can see why they thought this could be him because he really does have the same nose. Although I do think the eyebrows are a little bit too much. Like his forehead and where his eyes are set, they're a little bit more deep set than what it looks like on the pictures of Brian.
Yeah. No, I would. Yeah.
I can absolutely see why somebody would look at that though and think that it is him because the very first thing I thought was, oh, the nose.
Yes, but
Like,
the
that looks the
eyebrows
same.
are... Yes, the nose is the same. But that's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
I feel
but
like
the
it got
eyebrows are too
debunked.
heavy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
the eyebrows are too heavy, and his eyebrows were way more like spaced out and not as straight. They were more curved.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would
Yeah.
agree.
We'll still post it just because that is compelling.
Yeah.
Plus, it'd probably be good to have his face out there. So hopefully if he is alive and somebody is able to see him, maybe we can years later get some answers on this case, especially for those who are still missing him.
Yes. Okay. Well, that clarifies that
Well,
we're stuck in the hole and we're not going anywhere. We're stuck in there.
I still think it's rude that you've done this to me.
Because you're going to be thinking about it. I don't know why things like
Yes.
Unsolved Mysteries haven't put this out there. Like, this is such a compelling
I
case. Why do you
know
not,
it
like...
is. I think I almost wonder if part of the reason why they haven't put it out there is because we just don't know. Like, again, I was listening to these podcasts and I could tell these people just didn't know. Like, they couldn't sit there and say,
Yeah, I'm surprised that like more
you know,
armchair detectives haven't taken this case and really siphoned through it.
yeah, it's
Sifted
just
through all the
wild
details.
how little there is. Truly,
Yes.
I don't know, and it's almost frustrating to sit there and say, "Ow." I like
Yep.
sitting there and saying, I believe that XYZ occurred, but in this situation, it
Yeah,
could
but
go
you know
either
that
way, and
that
I
is
wouldn't be
not what
surprised.
that's not what the Parallax Podcast is ever going to give you as answers.
Yeah, I
We're going to give
know.
you we're going to give you more questions than answers.
Yes, yes. This is definitely one I'm going to continue to think about, and it's just wild.
Wildly baffling.
It is wildly baffling. I'm absolutely baffled. Flabbergasted.
Yes. All right.
Flabbergasted, I say.
Yes. But if you have ideas, if you have thoughts, if you have theories, you can reach out, email us at info@theparallaxpodcast.com. Send us your little shout outs there. You can also go to our social media by visiting theparallaxpodcast.com. Click the little two icons there because we're only on Facebook and Instagram. We don't mess with that other stuff.
We don't know how to TikTok.
Well, so I know how to TikTok. I absolutely do not TikTok because
Girl, I don't
you
know
have
how
to TikTok so
to.
much.
I know, and I'm just not like all the love to any of our followers. I'm not making y'all videos every day.
Mm-mm.
I already have to make enough posts as an author for my books and stuff. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. All I do for this podcast is I arrive, I talk, and I edit some of the episodes. That's it. I'm not making TikToks.
Yes. Yeah. So don't count on us for that. But anyways, we will put on at the bottom of this episode, and I did put it on the previous episode, how to go to the links for any information on Brian Shaffer to contact the police department in Ohio, so that if you have any information, you can reach out. So, but until then, I'm author Karisa and this is author Willow Grace.
Why did you say my name? This is Willow Grace.
All right, I'm redoing that one part.
Why would you say it like that?
I don't know. I just go deep down, and I don't know. Go deep down, and I use this strange accent. I don't even like it.
I almost want you to keep it in there because that's fun. We'll just keep it in there.
I feel like I was just, whatever. Anyways, I'm Karisa.
And I'm Willow. And until next time, goodbye, mortals.
Later, mortals.